All right, hello everyone. Thanks for joining back in with us here on our DecoNetwork tutorial sessions. New year and we're back for more tutorials. We did receive some questions through the blog, so we're going to go ahead and take care of your questions. If we have time, we're also going to take a look at maybe doing a website review from some of the previous submissions. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to take a look at some of the blog questions to start. Again, we did get quite a few there, so we'll try and get through all of them. First, we did have a question regarding products. So I guess this is kind of on the catalog integration side. Cindy asked, how do I know when new products are available in the DecoNetwork system? So we can definitely take a look at a couple ways that you can stay up to date on that information. So let me switch over to my admin section. And here in the admin section, if you go into the products list, in the products list, you have the ability to go into the select catalog page. And from the select catalog page, whenever there are any updates, you're going to see a notice appear here on the left-hand side. So currently, without adding any additional catalogs, I don't have any notice. Normally, you'll see kind of a yellow box that says updates are available. So this is one page to check to see if there are any new products that have been added to the catalogs that you already have selected. So that's one place to stay up to date on that. The other I would say is our blog, so deconetwork.com/blog. We do have a news section where our catalog team actually goes in and puts pretty frequent updates as far as what they're working on. So if we go in to take a look at one of these posts, you can actually see what the team's been working on. So this was kind of a year in review, I think, so how much they added for all of the catalogs. But usually they'll post in, which catalogs they worked during that time, and whether they added new products or updated existing products. They'll give the full rundown as far as what they're working on. So I would say those are the two best places to stay up to date on all that information. All right, but yeah, thanks for asking that question, Cindy. Hopefully that helps you stay up to date on those. All right, let's take a look at the next question here. So Eli asked if we have any plans for integrating any additional social platforms. They're looking to sell their products more widely. Specifically, he's mentioning they have a lot of clients that ask if they can, for example, add their products onto Facebook stores. So we don't currently have anything in the works for selling on a platform like Facebook stores. It's possible that it would come down the line. The key there is going to be to make your voice heard as far as wanting that functionality in the system. And you would do that by going to the ideas page. So deconetwork.com/ideas. Submit your idea through here. That's going to allow other DecoNetwork licensees to add their vote of support for that functionality. And our team really takes a look at that feedback and implements features based on what our users are asking for. All right, so that would be my recommendation. Definitely get it into the ideas section so that we can understand a bit better who wants that functionality. And again, we want to implement features that are going to benefit the most people, the most users. All right, so thanks for that question, Eli. Feel free, guys, to submit any additional questions that you have through the live chat. We'll also pull in questions from the live chat throughout the session. All right, so let's come back into the admin here. We'll keep running through these questions from the blog. All right, so we did have a question from Meryl who asked kind of an SEO related question. She's saying she has an SEO maybe firm working with her website, and they're asking if it's possible to add schema markup to the website. So that's a good question. Let me just double check here. It's not something that we have implemented into the system itself. Um, I'm just not sure if that's something that can be added from the client side or if it's something that has to be present. Most likely, since it is the search engine coming through and looking at it, that would have to already be in place. So it's not something that you could, for example, add after the page has already loaded. You would want that to already be there as the page is loading. So I don't think that's going to be possible, Meryl. Again, I guess that's another one where you can take that back to the ideas page if you think that's a good feature that you might want to see in a future update. All right, just looking through some of the blog comments here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at maybe a website review. So we did have quite a bit of sites submitted in from the previous sessions. We didn't obviously get a chance to go through all of them. So I'm going to pull up one of those ones that we didn't get to last times. And we'll just kind of run through it, give some feedback. So this is a site submitted by Kaylin. Um, so they're working with custom embroidered shoelaces. So she submitted her website and really wanted to get some feedback on it. Um, so let's see, let's just run through it. One of the things I kind of got straight away from visiting your site, Kaylin, is there is quite a bit of kind of open space. I think you could probably tighten this up a bit in terms of this first slider. I like what's going on with an image like this, where it goes full way across, and then you've got the create button. These other type of slides I think are a little bit weaker. The ones that are kind of split, especially this one here, there's a lot of open space there. So maybe think about kind of reworking those to work a little bit more like this one here. Maybe having the image as a background image and then having your body copy kind of overlaid on top of that image rather than side by side with all of this open space. I think that'll kind of work a bit better to uh, make the page not feel as empty from the start. So that's what I would recommend there. Um, this here at the bottom, I don't know that it's the best place for it. You've got a video online designer tutorial, which is a great addition to the website, especially, you've got kind of a special case here that you're doing with the embroidered shoelaces. That's not a product that we typically see our customers really offer. So, obviously you would want to kind of instruct your user how you're using the system and how to best use the features of the online designer to create these custom shoelaces. So great on you for creating that content, that video, and walking your end user through the process. But again, I'm not sure that the home page is the best place for content like that, right? Your home page is it's your customer's first impression of you, so you want it to be really something that's going to catch their eye and entice them to stay on the site, browse your additional pages, and ultimately, you obviously want that to convert into an order. So I would think about maybe moving this, maybe even just shifting it down lower. So I think shifting up your how it works section. This is something that's really nice, straightforward, that explains the process, right? You select the footwear that you want, you design on it, and you order it. Just that simple breakdown of what this site is about, I think would benefit having that right below your slider. Again, it's going to catch the eye. I think that that additional line of color, this nice kind of purple maroonish color that you've got there, that's going to be a nice pop of color if you kind of shift that up right below the slider. So I think the video itself and the shoelace length guide, that those might be something that you, for example, put into maybe your about page, or if you have maybe an additional info page, um, or maybe this embroidery information. You've kind of renamed it to embroidery philosophy, but that might be a place where you would have more kind of instructional, informational content. All right, so that's kind of my feedback on the home page. Let's take a look at some of these other pages that you've got set up here. Okay, so that's nice. The create page lists all of the different footwear styles that you have. I think that informational content works nice on that page, so maybe just getting rid of it on the home page altogether, letting it live here on the products page. That's I think a much better place for it. Let's see. I think as far as the drop-down menus, I don't know that you need kind of that drop-down on the create page because your product set is so limited. You're really just offering the shoelaces. I think that to me that seems like a little bit of noise there to just have that drop-down when really this could be a simple button. You just hit create and then you see all the different products. And you might think about actually renaming that link to products or even shoelaces that, get straight to the point. Just have them click straight to shoelaces. So just reducing that kind of, animation there, which takes some time, kind of cleaning up the process, I think would help quite a bit. So that would be my recommendation. Rename create to shoelaces and get rid of that drop down on the create page. And I think it's fine on about to have that drop down for the embroidery information. So those are still working okay. All right. Yeah, but overall you've got, really simple, straightforward design for the site. I really appreciate the purpose that you've come at this design with, right? We do often run into cases where a site is trying to do too much, and I think here you're really focused on the products that you're offering and offering them in a kind of straightforward way, making sure to give enough information to your end user, both in terms of the text, giving like the sizing information, and then the online designer tutorial. I think that's really helpful as well. Again, to make sure that your specific user understands how to use that functionality. All right, so yeah, thanks for submitting that in, Kaylin, and hopefully that feedback helps you kind of streamline the site and make it a bit easier for your customers to do business with you. All right, let's take a look at the chat. I think we've got a couple follow-up questions. So we've got Cynthia asking, is there a quick way to delete multiple catalog items from the product list other than selecting items per page? Um, yeah, there is a bulk select option, which I can go over. So let's go ahead and close out of the site review. And let's jump back into the products page. Okay, so here on the products page, I think what Cynthia's referring to is, let's say I want to delete these first three products. Now, these can't actually be deleted. These are my Smart Select products. But let's just say there were some custom products or manually added supplier products which I could delete. Uh, you can bulk delete by selecting multiple ones using the checkboxes, and that'll give you the option to select the delete products bulk action. So that's one way to do it. But I think Cynthia's asking for a quick way to uh, not have to kind of select them one by one. So I guess it depends on how you have your products organized. Let's say you want to delete all of the products under a certain category. That's definitely doable. You would, go through your category structure, filter down to that category. Once you're in that category, what you'll want to do rather than selecting the checkbox for each item, you want to select this checkbox here, which is at the top of the list. That would select all of the products in that on that page. Let's actually do it on a category with some more products. So it'll select all of the products on that page, and it's going to give you this option here at the top of your list. So the system knows that there are more than 15 products, which is how many products display per page. There are more products in this current filter list than we actually have selected. So we've selected all 15 on this page, but there's actually 23 total in the clothing category. So the system offers you the ability to select all 23 of those products. So you click that link, it'll then let you know all 23 products are selected. So now I have not just the 15 on this page, but the remaining ones on page 2 and 3, and however many more are in my list there. And then you could use that same delete products bulk action. All right, so it's going to come down to, I guess, how you have those organized. And that's not limited to just categories. So that applies to any filtered search. So if you go, let's say, to the all section, you can go into advanced search, and that's another way for you to filter down and, let's say, delete products from a certain brand. Let's say you're no longer working with Fruit of the Loom, which I think most of my products in here are from that brand. So let's say Fruit of the Loom. Again, I select that top checkbox, and then the system offers me that same option. Select all 23 products from the brand Fruit of the Loom. Okay, and then I could go in and apply that delete products bulk action. All right, so definitely some powerful options there as far as selecting in bulk. Really, what you want to do is just filter down to the products that you're after, either by category or brand, supplier, all these different filtering options. Once you've identified them, that top checkbox will give you that option. All right, so thanks for that question, Cynthia. All right, next up we've got another question. This one from Make a Tea Online. Every picture that I tried to upload looks blurry, even at high resolution. What am I doing wrong? Okay, I think I know which part of the system you're referring to, but I will just ask you for clarification just to double check. We could be talking about uploading an image for a product image. We could be talking about uploading an image into the design tool. But I think if I'm correct here in my assumption, you're talking about uploading an image into the web page editor. So just let me know if that assumption is correct or if I'm wrong, and clarify so we can go ahead and take a look and address that question. Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of what I figured. You're talking about the home page, the website pages editor. So let's go in and take a look. Um, we'll go into websites. We'll manage my primary store here. We'll go into edit website, website pages, and let's go ahead and take a look. So here's an example where I've dropped in an image. I've got this banner going across my site here, and in that banner, I'm kind of just marketing that I offer Fruit of the Loom products. So you're saying, you're uploading images, and no matter what, they look blurry, even high resolution images. So one thing to understand is the system's not by default going to display the image at the exact resolution that you uploaded it, right? If that were the case, we'd have a lot of cases of websites that are loading too slow due to uploading too high resolution images. So what we've actually built is an intelligent system that optimizes your images, the ones that you upload, to different quality settings. So you've got low quality, high quality, all kinds of different settings so that you can determine what kind of balance do you want to strike between the quality of the image, but also page speed, right? When you're dealing with web design um, and you start adding image after image after image, page speed is a something that you have to take into consideration. So you're going to have the ability to go into the settings and determine, again, what kind of balance you want to strike. So I'm coming here into my row settings where I've applied this t-shirt background image. And what I'll do is I'll go into the background properties. Whenever you've added an image like this, you're going to see this section under the background properties for original image size. So this is going to determine, again, what optimized version of that image do you actually want to use, right? The original image available in the system is 2,468 pixels wide. The one we're currently using is optimized or resized, scaled down all the way down to 1,024 pixels. So a little more than 50% reduction in the size of that image. Again, that's to reduce the amount of loading time that we would have to do if we embedded the original image. So you'll notice if I choose original, obviously this image has kind of some depth of field effect. So these shirts in the front look blurry, but that's just the way the photo was taken. But this shirt here in the middle, it's nice and sharp, crisp. There's no reduction in quality on that. But we are using the original image, which means it's going to take longer to download, right? That may be, 1 MB image, but depending on what images you're uploading, you could be uploading a 5-6 MB image, and that's a massive load on your website, especially for someone trying to visit that on mobile. That's just going to be a massive load. So something definitely to consider is, maybe you don't necessarily want to go with large. Maybe the system's using medium and that's just too blurry for you. Try going up a size, maybe large. That might be enough. If not, try the extra large. But definitely you want to strike that balance between quality and speed. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, especially as you continue adding more and more content to the site. The more images that you're adding means more loading time and a slower website. So definitely look to strike that balance between those two aspects of your site. So for now, we'll leave my site here on the large setting. I think I like that. I think it's good enough for what I'm trying to show here. I'm not displaying information there in the background that's something that the user needs to read or anything like that. It's really just to add a splash of color, to kind of get the message across that this is a website related to apparel and things like that. So I'm happy to have a large setting, bringing that image down 50% in size and maintaining some level of quality, but also getting the benefit of speed. Right, so I'm going to publish that change. and that way we'll go ahead and save that. But yeah, thanks for that question. I think it's a good topic to cover. Um, if I do recall correctly, it's actually one of the first topics, one of the topics that we covered on some of the earliest tutorial sessions that we started hosting is kind of how to work with images inside of the website pages editor. So um, if I recall which episode of the tutorial session that was, I'll share it through the chat there. If not, you can always go back to our YouTube channel and go through all those old episodes. They are um, annotated quite nicely. So if you go into the description of each of the tutorial sessions, you actually get a timeline of what topics are covered at what time. And if you click that timestamp, you'll actually jump straight into that topic. So it's pretty easy to go back and review those old sessions. All right, so actually while we're here in the website pages editor, I am going to cover some quick tips on um, how to add some additional layers of security for your contact forms. Now, this is something that we've been hearing a lot about, both through support tickets as well as um, through other communication forms like our forums. We've been hearing about it. So I'm not sure if there's kind of a more generic issue with more spam coming through websites in general, but in relation to DecoNetwork, we have been hearing more and more, from these from our users that they're getting spam email and it's coming through their website's contact form. So the system actually has built-in options to enable that form security button, which is a service provided by Google, the recaptcha service. And the latest version shows up as that "I'm not a robot" button or checkbox. You check it on. Sometimes it asks you to kind of identify images that have certain features in them, like select the images that have cars or whatever the case might be. So that feature is something that we already have built into the DecoNetwork system, which you can go in and enable. And actually, in our next update, we're actually going to make it so that the security options are enabled by default for any new stores that you create. So if you're on a multi-store plan and you're creating affiliate stores, any new ones that you create starting with the next update, those options are already going to be enabled for that new site. But as far as for any existing sites that you have on the DecoNetwork 8 platform, those aren't going to get those options enabled by default. So you actually need to go into those stores and enable them. We did put out a video yesterday that kind of covers the steps on how to enable them. I'll just show one page, how to enable it on one page. And if you're interested more on how to enable it for other pages, you can head back to our YouTube channel and look up that video on enabling the recaptcha option for your contact forms. All right, but let's say the most critical one would be, that contact page. So if we go into the contact page, the contact page has the form that receives the message from your users. And if you open the form properties by either clicking that form or hovering over the form, clicking the tab at the top, and then selecting form settings, you're going to find this option here under all the different field options. You're going to have the option for show CAPTCHA. So this is what you want to enable. You're going to turn that on, hit OK, and then save and publish that change. Right, so again, it's going to show this "I'm not a robot" button from Google reCAPTCHA. And essentially what Google's doing there is based on the way you interact with the page, other factors like maybe where you're accessing the page from, things like that, what browser you're using. They're kind of using some intelligence there to try and identify whether the individual could be a bot, right? most of the spam that comes through systems like this is, it's not really someone there kind of typing out the message and hitting send. It's automated, right? So it's robots that are built to send link spam or phishing spam through to your email. And so this security option here is a way to kind of prevent that, right? It's going to filter out a lot of those bots that people build and generate to kind of bypass the form and get that information into your inbox. So just by adding that form, we've already added a nice level of security that should hopefully prevent a lot of that spam from coming through into your system. All right, so again, the more dedicated video on that is on our YouTube channel. And we're also going to be putting out a blog post with some additional information and kind of just general information on why you might want to turn that feature on. All right, so hopefully that helps you guys out. If you have been receiving something like that, turning on the recaptcha is definitely a good option for you. All right, so for the next question, this is one that we've gotten uh, through the support system pretty frequently. Um, More and more so, people are concerned about um, the kind of the quality of their website branding. And one of the ways that comes through is in, how does my logo look on the site? Traditionally, DecoNetwork has allowed you to upload your own logo image. So if you don't upload your logo image, we display just kind of some text with your store name, which is what my site's using here. You can always upload your logo image, but more and more devices now are actually higher resolution devices. Things like smartphones and now even laptops and desktop monitors are double pixel density or triple pixel density. And so those raster images that we typically use for the logo, look maybe blurry or pixelated. Uh, so DecoNetwork actually has built in the ability to upload your logo in SVG format, so vector format. That way, it doesn't matter what pixel density device you're accessing your site from, whether it's an iPhone or Samsung device with a high resolution screen. It's going to look nice and sharp and crisp. And again, the importance of that is all in your branding, right? You want your brand to come across as a quality brand and give that great first impression. So uploading an SVG logo is a good way to do that. So I'm just going to give some kind of tips on how to upload your SVG logo. Because you could run into the situation where you upload an SVG file, but the system actually might not be using it. So let's make sure that you've got that set up correctly. All right, so I'm just going to locate an SVG file that I could use here for this purpose. All right, so I found an SVG image here just off Google that I can go ahead and upload. So I'm going to go into my images, hit upload images, go onto my desktop. There's the SVG that I just downloaded off Google, and I'll select that as my logo image. So right off the bat, just by uploading that, the default option is actually going to prevent that logo from being embedded as an SVG logo. And that's the option here, resize the image to fit. So whenever our system is resizing your logo, we're going to take whatever logo file you've uploaded and generate a new image. And in this case, it's going to be a PNG raster image. So you want to avoid that. You want to, when you've uploaded an SVG logo, you want to uncheck resize the image to fit. Let's go ahead and save that and publish the change. Or actually, let's try previewing. So because we've disabled the resize image to fit option, which is the requirement for that logo to be embedded as SVG, the important thing is going to be making sure that as we save that logo out of our design application, we need to make sure that that logo is already at the exact size that we want to display it. And you can think in terms of points, right? Because like I said, some screens may have a higher pixel density than others. So 1 pixel will essentially translate to 1 point. So this is actually a nice size. I just uploaded it straight as I downloaded it from Google, and it's already a pretty nice size. But let's say I also want to do mobile, right? So if I get the mobile view of my site, and we take a look at the image there, the mobile version is not using SVG, right? So because the system has to resize that down, right? Anytime the system's resizing an image, it's going to generate its own version. So while the desktop is using SVG, the mobile is using a raster, which again, you don't want like an iPhone or a Samsung to have that pixelated branding. So we need to upload the mobile version as well. So let's just try uploading or selecting that same one without doing any work on it. Again, uncheck resize the image to fit, hit save, and let's preview that once more. All right, so once again, let's just get the mobile view on there. And so you'll notice it doesn't even show, right? So what's happening there is it's too large to even display there. So what we need to do is we need to create a smaller mobile resized version in SVG format. All right, so for that, we need to open up our design application. I'm going to do it off screen here. So I'm in my design application, and I'm going to size that down to the recommended size actually, which is 40 pixels tall, or 40 points if we want to call it that. And then I'm going to export that as a new SVG file. Okay, so let's now replace that. So I'll click into the mobile version. I'll say upload a file. There's the new one that I created for mobile. I'll go ahead and select it, hit OK. And once again, I'm going to uncheck resize image to fit. And we're going to save that so we can preview it again. Let's pull up our preview again. Let's refresh it. And now let's go down to the mobile. All right, so I have some spacing issue there, but you can see it's nice and small. So let me just fix that up. We need to crop that down. All right, so let's try that one last time here. So I'm going to re-upload the new version without that additional spacing there. So let's do upload files, mobile 2. There we go. Uncheck resize the image to fit. Again, we want to make sure that the system's embedding the image as is in that SVG format. So we'll save, and let's pull up the site again, refresh. And sure enough, now we've got that nicely sized mobile version of our branding logo. If we take a look at the image, it is an SVG image. I can go ahead and use my browser zoom here, blow it all the way up 500%, and it stays nice and crisp, no pixelation whatsoever. All right, so now both our desktop and our mobile have a nice high quality SVG logo. All right, so you may want to do the same for your own branding. Save those out as SVG versions and make sure that the system doesn't add those as PNG or JPEG or some raster format that has compression on it. All right, so hopefully that helps you guys out with your site branding. We've got a question from Cindy, who is asking, is there a setting to disable customer access to the website and design without creating an account? Let me just make sure I'm understanding here. Okay, so I see what you mean. So you're asking for essentially guest access to the website. You want people to go to the site and design, but not create an account. So the DecoNetwork system doesn't have what you would traditionally consider guest checkout, where the end user won't have an account created for them. But it also doesn't require the end user to create an account beforehand. So if we take a look at my site here on a new system, okay, so a brand new tab here, we've pulled up my website. A user could come onto the site and start browsing it. They could find an item, select a size, and add that to the shopping cart. And so far, we've not had to register for an account. So we're just shopping through the site, adding items to the cart. It's not until we get to the checkout process that we're really kind of prompted for any of that information. So here's my cart. I'm happy with it. I'm actually going to make the purchase. I can hit checkout. And so you get these two options here. This is actually an option that you can configure in the checkout page. I don't believe this is the default option, so I've changed my site to display this way, but this is a good way to illustrate the two different options that the DecoNetwork system offers. So if it's someone new checking out, they would just enter their billing details and the system will create an account for them behind the scenes. So they don't have to go to the user registration page, create the account beforehand. They just check out, add the products to the cart, check out, and the system will do it automatically for them. So it's not something that they have to go out and actively create that account, but the system does always create them. The alternative being if they already have an account and they know their login details, they can choose that option, log in, and what that does is it saves the time of having to re-enter the billing details. So hopefully that clarifies as far as what's available. Essentially, there is a form of guest checkout, but it's not true guest checkout because an account is actually being created. True guest checkout would be, allowing the user to check out and then kind of purging those details from the system entirely, not having a customer account saved. But in the case of DecoNetwork, really because it's built around the idea of having all of that information saved historically inside of Business Hub for reorders and things like that, we really want to preserve all of those customers coming in so that you can go back and see their order history and all of that. So currently we don't have a true guest checkout, but hopefully that explanation gives you an idea of what's possible. Thanks for that question, Cindy. All right, if you guys have any more questions, make sure to put those into the chat so we can go ahead and get to them. We've got a few more minutes left here on the session, so we'll try and get to everyone's questions. All right, so for the last bit of time here that we have, I'm going to jump into Business Hub and cover how to credit a customer. This is a question that we get pretty frequently through the support system, and there's kind of some confusion in terms of terminology around the word credit. I think it can mean different things for different people. So let's clarify kind of what the different credit options mean in DecoNetwork and traditionally how you might credit a customer, let's say for an order that came through your system. All right, so I'm going to look at my test site here. We'll take a look at some of the recent orders. All right, so here's an order that came through. It's not yet been paid for, but let's go ahead and log a payment for it. So I guess we can kind of start covering it here. In the payment screen of an order, you'll notice you have add payment, add refund, and add credit. So credit is seen kind of almost as a payment type. So you could pay either, let's say with cash, you could pay with card, or you could add a credit to the order. It's not technically a payment, but it's accounting for some balance that's due on the order. So it's kind of like a payment. And that's really the way that DecoNetwork kind of thinks of credits is they're applied to individual orders, and they're reducing the amount of balance due on a specific order. So typically a customer, the way we get this question asked is, I have this customer, for whatever reason, I need to refund them part part of their order, and I want that balance rather than refunding it, let's say, back to their payment, which was credit card. They want to apply that as kind of credit balance to the customer account. So there is also a way you can do that, but it's not necessarily related to an order credit. So if you wanted to do something like that, apply a credit to the customer account, we would need to go into the Customers tab in Business Hub, pull up that customer account, go into the Account Details section, press Edit Account Details, and this is where we have the store credit. So a store credit is an amount that you can allocate to a customer account, which they can spend through your web store. So if I assign $50 to Tony here, next time he goes through my website and he's adding items to the cart, he goes through checkout, he's going to see that he's got $50 of store credit, which is going to apply to his order. So that's store credit. And again, that's different than an order credit. When I come in here to the order and let's say go into payment and choose add credit, this is not pulling from Tony's store credit. These are two completely distinct functions, an order credit and a store credit. So again, two different functions, and hopefully that clarifies. I think one place also where this gets into some confusion is, let's say this order was paid for, fully paid, and again, we now need to refund, not because the contents of the order was changed, but maybe we did the customer wasn't necessarily happy with, let's say, the quality for whatever reason. We're not going to completely refund the order because they did get the product, but we want to give them maybe a discount. So we're going to refund part of their payment. So let's say $342, we're going to refund due to print quality. This is the checkbox that oftentimes confuses people, add credit with the same value. So if you check this box here, as you're applying that refund, the system is going to apply back a credit to make sure that the order doesn't stay with an open balance. So if I did not check that box and I'm refunding in the scenario that I am, where the order balance has not changed, but I'm going to refund an amount, if I go ahead and press OK, what's going to happen is this order is going to go from fully paid to an outstanding balance, which I don't want in this case. I don't want I'm not expecting the customer to pay that $342, right, that I just gave them back. So that's a perfect case where you would want to check that option on to make sure that the credit comes back in and then marks that order as fully paid. So we could do this after the fact. I've already refunded that $342. I can now come back in and say add credit. We'll do the maximum credit possible, $342, hit OK, and now that order is fully paid again. So that credit is taking care of the $342 that we refunded back to the account. But there are other cases like, let's take a look at one of these other orders. So let me just quickly edit the order here. Let's move up the quantity up to 2, hit OK. Let's save that off. Okay, so this is a different case. We're going to go ahead and mark a payment here in full. So this order has already been fully paid, but let's say the customer wants to reduce the amount of items that they're ordering. So they originally ordered 2, now they only want 1. We'll bring that quantity down, we'll save the order, and because of that, the system is going to mark this order as requiring a refund. So essentially the customer has now overpaid, and we need to refund that customer. So if we go back to the Payments tab, add refund, in this case, we would not want to check that box on, right? If we do 443, if we do that 443 refund and we we turn on the option to add credit with the same value, we're going to end up with an overpaid order again. So that credit option is only viable like in the previous scenario where you're refunding, but that order still has the original balance due. All right, so for this case, I'm going to leave that unchecked. I'm going to say that they reduced the order, and that's why I'm refunding. So I'm refunding $443, which is the amount due. Hit OK. Yes, I want to apply that refund. And so now the order should show up as fully paid without that required refund. All right, so hopefully that explains refunds as well as credits, the two types of credits that you can do in DecoNetwork. All right, so we're just ending the session here. We're out of time for questions, but I do want to give just some quick comments. If you are tuning in and you're not already a DecoNetwork subscriber, I would invite you to head over to our website, DecoNetwork.com. Take a look through the site. If you're interested and you want to kind of learn more about DecoNetwork, make sure to book a tour so one of our DecoNetwork client services team members can walk you through the system, right? We want to make sure that the system is a good fit before you jump in and start working with it. So they'll walk you through the entire system. They'll explain it, make sure to explain all of the benefits to you, and that way you can go into your decision making with all of the information. All right, so I do invite you to book a tour. We are also going to be taking part in some events throughout the year, so I'm also going to invite you to stay up to date on where we're at, what's happening, and that's going to happen over at our blog, deconetwork.com/blog. Take a look through the articles. We're attending some trade shows throughout the year, so this is the place where you can stay up to date as far as where we're going to be at throughout the year. Again, this is also where we post our company news as far as catalog updates, everything like that. So stay up to date through our blog. All right. Thanks everyone for joining in, guys, and we'll catch you on the next session. Take care.